In the last lecture, I forgot to mention one thing. When we introduced the spawn component, especially in the factory method, we were given an integer value. So this factory method actually is a method and it gives us an integer value. So what this is all about? Why this integer value? What does it mean? So this integer value is the number of components that this spawn component has created. In our case, the ball. So for example, if the spawn component has created 3 balls, so the number will be 2 because it starts with 0. So this is all about. If we want this amount or this value in our game, then okay. If we don't want it, if we don't want this value, then simply we can replace this amount with this underscore because we don't need it. Okay. So now the thing is, when our component or when our rectangle component or player collides the ball with the ball or balls, then each ball should be removed from the screen, and we can do so by a single line of code. So let's go inside our my rectangle component and inside on collision start. So when our player collides with the ball, then we should simply say other means the ball, and we call a special method called remove from parent. So the parent is the game object. So the balls will be removed from the game. With this little modification, if I now run the game, and now if I collide with the balls, you see the balls are vanished from the game. So whenever there is a collision with the player and the ball, then all the balls that have collided with the player have been vanished or removed from the game. So this is not all about our game objectives. We also need to collect all the numbers. I mean, if now this component moves through these 2 balls, so we need to add 7 and 9 and add it to the score. So we need to show the score somewhere on the screen. And whenever we need to show some text, we need a text component. We know that. So let's go our game class and then let's introduce some member variables, like we need the score and also we need a text component. So inside this game, after this random declaration, let's say the int score, that should be 0 at the beginning. It is 0, and also we need a text component to show the score. So let's let text component score text component, and we need to initialize this text component. So inside the onload method, after this line, we can say add and then score text component. That would be a text component, and this should show the text. And the text would be like, okay, I'm taking the suggestion that Android Studio is providing. So it should say score, and the value would be score, and the anchor would be center. I am not sure whether I'm keeping this anchor or not, because it depends where I want to show the text component. So if I want to show the text component on the top left corner of the screen, then I should provide the anchor for the text component as the top right corner. So it will start rendering the text component from this point. So like here. So I should say the center, not center, that should be top right. Okay. And also the position. Where do I want to show? So the position would be like maybe all the way to the game width, size.x, and from the top, maybe it is 10. Okay, maybe it is 10. And if I now hit restart, you see, we are now looking at the text component at the top right corner and all the way to the x-axis, I mean the width of the game, and 10 pixel from the top. Okay. And now, whenever our rectangle components collides with the ball, the balls are removed from the parent, and also we need to increase the score by the numbers of the ball that are vanished. Okay, so to do so, since we declared the score in the game class, we should declare another method that should update the score. So inside that game class, I am going to create a method which is called update score, and also we need to pass the level or the text or the number of the ball, so int value, and then we need to say score plus equals value, and we don't need that. Okay, and now we need to call this method whenever our component or rectangle collides with the ball and pass the value or number of the ball. So let's go inside my rectangle component. After we remove, or before we remove the ball from the screen or from the game, we need to call that method that we just created inside the game class. Now we need to have a reference of that game class, and we know how to do that. We have to mix another component like has game reference, and the game name my flame game. Okay, fine. And now before we remove the ball from the game, we are simply saying game.update score, and we need to provide the value. So we know the ball that the component, a rectangle, is colliding with. So this is the ball, this other is that ball. So we can simply access the value of the ball, which is this one, this number. So let's say other dot number. Okay, other dot number. So this will call this method, and this score will be updated. And if I hit save or restart this game, and now if I hit any of the balls like 10, you see the score is not updating. So if I hit these two balls, 3 and 5, the score should be 5, 3, 8. Now if I collide these three balls, so the score is not updating. So what's the problem? The problem, we didn't do anything wrong, but the problem is whenever we want to update a text component, we need to do the same thing that we did here. I mean, we need to update the text of the text component in the update method. So in every frame change, the score will be updated, or if there is any update, then that should be reflected on the screen by means of updating the state of the text component inside the update method. So I need to override the update method now, and inside that update method, I need to update the text component. So score text component dot text, that would be same thing that we have defined here. So with this little modification, if I now restart the game, and now it is colliding with 10, the score is 10. So let's hit here. So now it is updating. Okay, so we're almost there. And we need to be very careful. I mean, we need to find the higher level balls, I mean the balls with higher numbers, so that we can score higher. And the thing that is left is a timer, because so we need to stop this game at some point, and that's why we need a timer. So the timer will start like 60 seconds or 120 seconds, and it will be decreased, and when the timer or the time is 0, then we'll stop the game, and the score will be the score that I just scored. Okay, and in this way we can save the current score as a highest score, and every time we play the game we will try to beat the previous highest score, so that the game becomes more interesting. So in the next lecture I will add a timer that will keep track of the game time.